Okay, so we're in the middle of the sugya of, we left off yesterday with nat bar nat, right? Only remembers nat bar nat, right? Remember nat bar nat? Noisein tam bar noisein tam. Secondary taste, as it's quoted in the book over here. Secondary taste, which as we explained was, again, rice in a fleishik pan, and I want to mix that rice with cheese. The nafkamina was whether it was a ben yomo or an ben yomo. Okay? Just to clarify, if it was a ben yomo, which means it was used in the last 24 hours for meat, then the rice is kind of fleishik, which means lechatchila, don't mix it with cheese. But if you did, you can eat the rice. If the pan is an eino ben yomo, it has not been used for meat in the last 24 hours, then after you have made the pasta, rice, potatoes, whatever it is, you can mix it with cheese, but don't make it al daskin. Right? That's the chiddush of the shach that we said yesterday. Don't make it al daskin, meaning don't specifically cook the parav item in the pan if you know you're going to mix it with the other men. Is that totally clear? Very important. Okay. Similar shaila would be what we also mentioned yesterday was tam ki'ika. Tam ki'ika, as we explained, was that the taste is like the thing itself. So just like when a piece of meat falls into cheese or into milk, the taste is there and it mixes. We paskin that the taste that's absorbed into a utensil is also ki'ika, as if the thing itself is there. Which would mean that if you take a ladle that was fleishik, so you used it 10 minutes ago for cholent, completely clean, and now you dip it into your cream of mushroom soup that's got cream in it, it's got mamash milchik in it, it's as if there's meat being dropped into that soup. What would be the din? The din would be that you need shishim. That means if the soup, or whatever it is that you inserted the spoon into, has 60 more times than the ladle that was inserted into the soup, everything is mutter apart from the ladle. Obviously the ladle needs to be kasher, right? That's about double pashat ad moed, which we're not going to discuss right now. Right? A local Orthodox rabbi had a kasher a ladle. But that is the simple halacha in that case. Let's move on. I want to start now the inyan of a double charif. A double charif, what's a double charif? How do you translate double charif? So I remember when I wrote the book, one of my main editors says to me, okay, we need to translate it as a pungent food. I said, but then we're going to have to find an art scroll to explain what on earth that means, right? Nobody knows what that means. Let's go, and it's an English book. People are actually meant to understand it, right? So we changed it from pungent to sharp, right? Which is a little bit more, that's understood, right? And therefore, what we're now going to deal with is a section which I believe the entire purpose of my book was for that. I don't think there was any other reason really to write the book apart from sharp foods. It's just a halacha that I wanted to give out there and people should know it, and it's such an important question, okay? You're going to see, this is a total shalom bayis here. You have no idea. We're learning shalom bayis right now. This is improving your marriage. You imagine nachas when your wife says to you, "Ooh, I just cut the onion." Oh, it's fine because it. She'll be like, "Wow, I married a Talmud Chacham. You must have gone to that yeshiva." Anyway, let's move on. So let's talk about sharp foods. A very, very important halacha. Let's get some of the things very, very clear here. Nat bar nat. Let's go build up in stages. Nat bar nat. Again, we're going over it again. Parav item, fleishik pan. I want to mix it with cheese. There we're more makel. Why? Because it's a secondary taste. Noisin tam bar noisin tam means the meat goes into the pan goes into the rice, and everything's parav. Only later do I mix it with the cheese. Yeah? Okay. Double charif, a sharp item, is the exception to all of these rules. Okay? And now let me give you 3 things that the Gemara tells us in Chol and Kuf Yud Aleph of the differences between a double charif and anything else. Now, a double charif, let's just define what that is. What is considered to be a double charif? So, maybe I'll cheat. Let's look at the book. What does he say? Let's check what he writes. It includes raw onion, radish, garlic leek, horseradish, lemons, limes, astrogim, lemon juice, salty fish like herring, olives, maybe even pickles, salty water, and possibly vinegar. Okay? Now, what? Hot peppers? Yeah, vada. That's good. That's a good one. We have to add that to the 4th edition. Baruch Hashem. Anyway, so that is considered to be sharp. For all intents and purposes, let's talk about radish. Radish is in the Gemara, right? It's a mafurish. So, what is the difference between a sharp food and anything else? The Gemara tells us 3 major differences. And that is like this. When you take a knife and you cut into an onion, that knife will extract from, the onion will extract from the knife a tam rishon, not a nat bar nat. Yeah? So I used the knife last night for steak, and this morning I cut an onion with it for my egg. What's the din of the onion? So I would say it's not bar nat. Why is it different to the pot? A pot, we said, I took rice and cooked in a fleshik pan. So yeah, last night I cooked meat in the pan, gives a taste into the pan, into the metal. And then afterwards I cooked something parav in that pan. Beseda, not bar nat. This is a secondary taste. Same thing. A knife was used for meat. So yesterday the meat went into the knife. Today the knife goes into the onion, not bar nat. Says the Gemara, absolutely not. Hot. Okay, we'll get to that. But the first stage is that it takes out and extracts a tam rishon. So it's as if it's a piece of meat right now cutting the onion. Not a knife that touched the meat last night, but a piece of meat mamish. Okay? So that is number one. It's not nat bar nat. You have no coolers of nat bar nat. It's tam rishon. Number two, the Gemara in Avodah Zarah Lamed Hey on the base, where the Gemara tells us that normally, and we mentioned this yesterday, what is an Einoi Ben Yoimei? An Einoi Ben Yoimei means the taste inside the utensil has become pogum, stale, not good anymore, cannot affect anything else anymore. If that's the case, so if the knife wasn't used in 24 hours, so who cares what it was used for 26 hours ago? It's pogum. The taste can't affect anything, says the Gemara. No. When it comes to a davar chorev, when it comes to something sharp, it takes out the taste as if it's a ben yomei. It doesn't make the knife into a ben yomei. It's shal in the shach, but it makes the food as if it's a ben yomei. So therefore, I don't care if the last time you used this knife was 6.5 years ago. And at the end of the day, when you cut an onion with it, it is now fleshiks. The onion is a piece of meat. The onion is a piece of meat. Okay? Again, we'll go into more details, just give me a minute. And the last one is, what Yitzi was basically alluding to, was that normally everything, how does taste transfer from one to the other? Through heat. You can't put like, theoretically, if you put meat and milk together cold, nothing's going to happen. If you put two utensils that are one fleshiks, one milchiks, and they touch each other and they're cold, nothing's going to happen, even if they're hot. But anyway, generally you need heat. When it comes to a davar chorev, when it comes to a sharp item, heat has no shaykhs. The Gemara calls it duchka de sakina. The pressure of the knife is like heat. So even though normally you need heat to make a taste transfer, when it comes to a davar chorev, you don't need heat. And therefore, if you don't need heat, and you cut an onion that's cold with a cold knife, it makes the same problem as if it was boiling hot. Okay? So everything we discussed, it could be cold or hot. You could be frying onions in a frying pan. It's obviously going to be the same din. If you cut it with a cold knife, it's going to be the same thing as frying it in a frying pan with heat. So it's all got the same din. Now, how much of the knife, how much of the absorbed taste of the knife went into the onion? How much of your onion is osa? You take a huge onion, slice it down, half. How much of the onion becomes fleshiks? So the Rosh paskins, a klipa. How much is a klipa? Literally, klipa means a peel. So it means a peel's worth. So if you peel off that of the onion, then the rest of it is parav. That's what the Rosh paskins. The Ravid paskins, it's kedei netila. Kedei netila means the amount you can grab and take off, which the Stipler said was about 2 centimeters. That's how much of the onion away from the blade, when you cut it, becomes fleshik. The Rashba says, kedei kulai. The entire onion becomes a piece of flesh. Unbelievable thing. It's a most unbelievable thing. Now, Lamaisa, we generally Ashkenazim paskin like the Ramah brings, that we paskin like the Rashba, at least l'chumra, that you should really make lechatchila the entire onion fleshiks. If you put it into soup already, then there's a different style of how you work it out, which again we're not going to at this moment of time. So it means halacha lemaisa. You take an onion, you cut it with a fleshik knife. I don't care if it was a ben yoim or any ben yoim, according to Ashkenazim. If you want to know the Psak of Sfarim, you're going to have to write the Sfari version of the book. But according to Ashkenazim, the entire onion becomes a piece of meat. Okay? Nafkamina. For all sorts of shaylas. Let me give you another shayla. What about the following scenario? Think about this. What happens if you cut the onion with a fleshik knife in order to put it into the food processor? Because the food processor has like a little tunnel, right? A little plastic thing, and you put it in when you make the potato cooker, right? You know what I'm talking about? You can't fit a whole big onion in there. So you have to slice it. So you slice it in half, you put it in. Then you realize, I cut it with a fleshik knife. The problem is my blade of the food processor fleshiks? Do we say that the onion doesn't only receive from the blade that cut it, but it also gives out to another blade that touches it? So if the first blade that touches it, the knife, was fleishiks, and then I take the onion, put it in a food processor, and the food processor has the blade spinning around, does that blade become fleishiks? My nafkamina? Huge nafkamina. Because if it becomes fleishiks, I want to make myself a cucumber salad for shalashidis, which is milchik, I have a problem, because the blade is fleishiks. So this is subject to machlokes, the Magen Avram and the Even HaOiza, machlokes achronim, gedolei achronim, whether yes or no. It's interesting that the Mishnah Berurah in Hilchos Shavuos, in Top Tzadi Dalet, is machmi. The Chachmas Adam is also machmi, but many times not we're makel. I want to just, tell you a very important insight. When it comes to onions, any of you that have been with me, I think you've been with me a few times, people call up with onion shilas, right? There's a lot of tzirufim. There's a lot of tzirufim which I'm not going to go into at this moment of time. And I told you, you're not going to know all the answers right now, but you'll know what a shaila is. And that's also chashuv, because you will know what to ask. And that's a very, very important thing, okay? So there are sometimes kulas, for example, if the knife is an ein ben yoimai, if it's not a radish, it's only an onion. The Gemara talks about a radish, not really an onion. There are other head taim, there are disket, oil, all sorts of things. Again, it's impossible now to go through everything, but I just want to give some of the Rashi Prokim of the Shailas. Another one, for example, if you have something that's chorif, like vinegar, like chrein, what if you dip a fleishik spoon into your chrein, right? People do that. And they leave it there for 24 hours. Or, according to some shitas, a davar chorif can absorb in less than 24 hours. It doesn't need to be preserved and pickled like we explained in the first share for 24 hours. It could be even less. It could be even 18 minutes. So if you have, for example, on your table, chrein, and you take a fleishik spoon, fleishik meaning, it was actually, by the way, this is a big one. This is a big lifesaver. These phone calls come in every day, right? But they're whole complicated, I touch this one and this one goes into there, and the spoon and the knife and the plate and the microwave and the oven, a whole shaila. So I ask one small question, right? That Tshuva, the Munkacher, brings this down. The knife that you use to cut whatever you cut, which then touched the plate, which then touched the pot, which then went into the oven, the microwave, and they've got themselves this huge shaila. That first knife, was it ever used for hot cheese? And then she's like, no, but it's milchik. No, but was it ever used for hot cheese? No, it was never used for hot cheese, but it's milchik. It says milchik on it, it's blue, especially with blue on it, it's milchik. No, it doesn't work that way. For something to be milchik or fleishik, it has to have been used for yad soledes boy of that item. If it was never used for yad soledes boy, it's not fleishik, it's not milchik. Why am I telling you this? Because if you take a spoon, a small little dessert spoon, right, then you call it fleishiks because it's in the fleishik drawer. Why is it fleishiks? When was the last time you used that small dessert spoon for boiling hot yad soledes boy meat? Could be you did. Maybe you give it to a child to eat chicken soup with and it was boiling hot. That could be. But I'm just saying you have to know if it was ever used. If it was, and you stick it into the chrein became fleishik. Now you want to have the chrein with fish. Now you've got problems. Because that's a sakana. That's a sakana. Fish and meat, that's the real sakana. Forget about fish and milk. That's not negated to right now, right? According to Shach and the Taz, there's Sofrim in the Shulchan Aruch. There's no halacha really according to Shach and Taz of an issa of having pizza with tuna on it. You know that, right? I went to a store one time in Manchester, and I asked for I don't know why I did this. I think I did it dafka probably. That's my sort of thing to do, Can I have tuna on my pizza? I don't even like tuna on my pizza, but I just wanted to see their reaction. No, we're not allowed. It's osa. Could you possibly show me this in Shulchan Aruch maybe? Can you show it to me with a nicer kelim? Where does this come from? No, the mashkiach said, to call the mashkiach. Let's have a nicer kelim about it. Okay, so there's a bischit tshuva, Rabbeinu B'chaya, Tzoras, I don't want to go into the whole sugya now. Some of the Hasidim, some of the Svardim, yes, have a minute, don't have a minute. It's impossible to go through everything right now. I told you we're not going through everything. We're just giving you a little bit of an inkling, right, of what there is to come. If you join the kolom, Be'ez Hashem, we're going to do smicha on this. Anyway, so that is a davar chorif, and that's the halacha over there. Let's move on, Rabbi Sai, a bissel weiter. Okay? Next halacha, where are we holding? Wow, we've got to move on. There's a lot more to do, and I told you, what are we doing over here right now? We're not learning Basar B'Chalav. We're giving a preparation to Shavuos. Shavuos have all the shaylas of Basar B'Chalav, all come in around this time. People are busy with milchik sudas, and milchik, kiddush, and all sorts of things. So let me give you a couple of other klolim which are very important to know. Number one, there's a famous Ramah which you have to know that is in Yeridei Simon Tzadi Beis Siv Zayin. And the Ramah says like this. The Ramah says a very big klal, and you have to know this klal. Ein kli b'leya mikli b'loy roitiv. Translation. Anyone there? What? You need sauce for? Oh, there we go. Ein kli boileya mikli b'lo roitiv. What does that mean? That means if I have a pot of chicken soup, boiling hot, cooking chicken soup, next to it I've got a cream of mushroom soup, milchiks, and they touch each other on the outside, and everything is dry, nothing happened. I don't care if they're boiling hot, nothing happened. If, for example, you take a chicken soup or a cholent and you put it down on the milchik counter, if everything's dry, there's no problem. Now, it could be it's asa lechatchela. Well, for this we'll have to learn with Moshe Mori, because there's a famous with Moshe on there that tainas from the, if you look at the Taz and Simon Sadi Dalet, he tainas that there's no mokum to be machmir bechlal, but we're not going into it at this moment of time. But Akaponim, the Ramah says not to do lechatchela, the Shai is how you learn that Ramah. But it means that there's no kli b'lei and kli b'loi roitiv. Why am I telling you this? First of all, it's a gavaldig klal to know. Number two, it's very negative to Shavuos. I'll tell you why. On Shavuos, again, I'm not going to involve them in Hogim right now, we'll talk about that nearer the time, about milchik sudas. Should I have a milchik suda? When to have the milchik suda? We'll talk about it. But on a pashtus level, and the shayla comes in all the time, people use the same hot plate. No one has a milchik hot plate. Nobody has I don't know anyone has a milchik hot plate. You have a hot plate for Shabbos, and it's generally used for fleishiks. Come Shavuos, for those that are making a milchik suda, or even if you have a milchik kiddush with hot things, blintzes, I don't know, whatever, you're not going to buy another hot plate. You want to use the same hot plate. Are you allowed to use the same hot plate? Now, I'm not putting food on the hot plate. Nobody puts a blinzer on the actual, the metal. You put it in a container. But it was used easy for chunt, and it could be that it spills over sometimes. You know how it looks, right? Nobody tell me that nothing ever spills over there. You know exactly what I'm talking about, okay? It's impossible. That place is the gefährlich. Okay, go have a look, yeah? Give a kick. Okay, that's what it is, right? Oh, so you put tinfoil on it. Why did you put tinfoil on it? Because it looks cleaner. Or they're doing it for a blech, which you don't even need a blech if it's not adjustable. I'm not going into that now. It's Yom Tov anyway, it's not again. But the point is that in Kli B'lei and Kli B'lei Roitiv means that theoretically I can have the same hot plate as long as the containers are clean. This is, by the way, very Nageya, not Nageya for now. But if you go on vacation, you take an Airbnb in the middle of who knows where, and you've got a goyish a tray for place over there, you have to know. This is halacha is Nageya. Again, according to Ramah, it could be that you're not allowed to do it lechatchila, but maybe you're not in a lechatchila situation because you didn't know and you're stuck there. Now what? So it could be there's a mocha to mekel. You have to know exactly how. We're not going to all the shilas. But ein kli b'lei kli b'roitiv tells us that. Okay? And therefore, if it's clean, there's no problem. Like Yitzi said, you put a foil there. If you want to be more machmir, there's a mocha involvement or chayim, it's mashmir this way. You put two layers of foil. Then even according to the machmim of the Ramah that you're not atu lechatchila, you're allowed to lechatchila. Get it? Moving on. Very quickly. One last shilah for today, what I say. Heilige ovens, one of the most common shilas around the year, and for sure this time of year, is the ovens. What is the din of an oven? So I want to tell you the makor of the whole shilah of an oven is a Mishnah in Machshirim, right? So, who learns Machshirim? Tumah, Tahara, with the mikvahs and zachas. It's not Nageya to us. That's some things that are Nageya. You ever heard that before? Yeah? That's some things that are Nageya. Mishnah Machshirim is not Nageya. But it's not true, because the Mishnah Machshirim tells us all the halachas of using a fleishik and milchik oven. Why? Because again, without going into details, the Mishnah talks about a mikvah that was tomei, it has tumah inside it, and the shaila is the steam, right? That the zayah that's inside, does it basically spread the tumah elsewhere? Without going into all the details, I'm just literally giving you very, very big hits. Says the Rosh is a tshuva, and he says that the steam of something is like the food itself. Okay? The steam of the food is like the food, which would then basically mean that if you have an oven that you're cooking meat inside, the steam is coming out of the food, going onto the oven walls, making the oven completely fleishiks. So how are you allowed to use that oven for a cheesecake? Or for challah that you're going to have shalashidas with milk? It's a problem, right? So that's number one. Again, Rabbi say, we are going through the sugya very, very quickly. We're skipping out we're just giving you the, sikkim, summary. There's something else as well. There's a Bach. Tshuva brings it. Yehudei Sadi Beis Zayin. That the Rosh Hashanah paskins this way. Rosh Hashiva of Shaimek said we paskin this way. That the Bach says that if there's a mokum nispashit, that means if the steam has a place to go, it's not contained in a very concentrated area, it doesn't have the koyach anymore. Which basically tells us that most ovens are not in a small concentrated area. It won't affect the ovens. Which is how Rav Sheinberg paskind, how Rav Shlomo Zalman paskind, Rav Israel told me as well, which basically means that most of our ovens don't really have a shayla of zayah. Now don't tell this to people that are learning the halachas, because they generally learn the chumrah. That's also, I remember we had a Yeridei Kollel in the old building, if you remember. Oh, did they fight with me on this one? No, it's Asa, Zayah, no, you're not allowed. What can I do? I'm so sorry. What can I do? My Shiva said it's mutter. What can I do? I'm sorry. What can I do? I think it's from Magen Bidin ones. Everyone's neshama is noited to, azoy and azoy. Some people are noited lahachmir, some people are noited mekel. Say no. What's that?
Sure, burn without
And very good, excellent question. So, in fact, Mordei Kasha. What about an urn? What's your kasha? It's a Mordei Kasha. I haven't got time for this. What happened? Mordei wants to know. From Friday night, you check in the Heilige Schulent, and you see it's drying out. So you want to fill it up, right? So how are you going to fill it up? So there's a whole shaila if you're allowed to use the klisheni. You're allowed to take a cup and put it in the urn and then pour it in. It's a shaila we're not going to now. We're not talking about it now. But your question is, can you take the whole chulun, put it under, fill up open this way? That's what we're talking about, and the steam goes out, right? According to what you're saying, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. That other kollel, by the way, wouldn't even use the urn in yeshiva. It's trade, you can't use it. It's 100% fine. Why? Because the steam is a place to go. That's how we paskin in this base medrash. Not every base medrash you're going to be zocheh to hear this. But this base medrash, that's how we paskin. That the steam has a mokim to go, and therefore it's okay. I would suggest that when you open the lid of the cholent, you don't do it under the faucet. Because then, whoosh! Open it before, and then it's not a problem. For example, I once walked into somebody's home, and I saw that behind the gas stove area, they have like a metal piece, which is a magnetic piece, and they stick the ladles there. You know what I'm talking about? So I looked in there and I said, is that a problem? So the person at the house was like, when you see a kitchen, you see Shulchan Aruch, like you don't even see the kitchen, you just like to see the Shulchan Aruch, right? So why is it mutter? Because the steam that's all over the place has got a place to go. It's not specifically going over there, it's not in a concentrated area. Maybe you should be careful, because eventually after so much cooking it can get condensation, so maybe you should be careful over there. But in a regular case, if it's got, for example, we could spend hours on this whole sugya, this one. If you take a salt shaker, you have these people, right? They have a separate salt shakers for milchiks and fleishiks, which is a gewaldige idea for a different reason, by the way. And the reason for that is because the steam. They're worried. They take the salt and you pour it on the chicken soup. The steam went in. Now what are you going to do when tonight you want to pour it over the pizza? Basar B'Chalav. That's why they have two. So you don't really have to have two. Not for that reason, that's for sure. There's another reason to have two, right? The other reason to have two is, there are more bets in the end of Sim Peches, and that is because your hands are dirty. Sometimes your hands have got dirt from the schnitzel, from the pizza, so stam on the outside, and therefore it creates all sorts of problems. But for the steam, mabaya! First of all, number one, we just said in this base measures, the steam's got a place to go, there's no problem. Number two, Shlomo Zalman said a Mordei Gezach. He said, how did the steam get in? The holes are never, when you're pouring the salt over, the holes are never empty. There's always salt there blocking it. There's the next one, the next one, the next one. The minute it's never empty, it's the salt never went into the salt shaker. And the chanami will go stuck, yeah. So that's why, again, spice is not these things. Again, I'm not saying the chatchila, things can drop, things can splash. You've got to be careful. But, you have to know how far to take things. Where am I? When it comes to the ovens, it's very, very late. When it comes to the ovens, you know what? Tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem, I think we'll do the ovens because it's one of the most common shilas. So I don't want to skip over it quickly. Tomorrow, B'Siyat Shema, we'll do the ovens, and then we're going to start some of the drabbanons that are negeya very much for Shavuos, B'Siyat Shema. Tomorrow, have a wonderful, wonderful day.